The hardest part about last month wasn't the fact that I missed my revenue goal. It was the panic that I had to sit with when I realized my safety net was slowly dissipating. Funnily enough, right after I posted my last video thinking that I didn't get a call back from the job that I applied for, they called me back. And the virtual interview went so well that they invited me to come in person to have another interview. So that's still pending. I'm about to talk to you guys about breaking the addiction of a steady paycheck. And here I am saying that I got a call back from a job going back to a 9-to-5. But you'll understand why I'm explaining all of these side by side to get you to understand what it's really going to take to break past being addicted to the paycheck itself and utilizing it as fuel to fund and grow your business. This isn't about just needing money because, let's be real, we all need to eat, we all got bills to pay. Being addicted to a paycheck means growing too comfortable with the lifestyle that you have and being fearful of making a bold next step because you're afraid of the stability, the emotional regulation, and the identity that you've now been able to create out of this paycheck. Quite frankly, the reason why I even got into business is because I've seen how stagnant having a 9-to-5 has made other people, and it really did make me miss the whole point of how to use this as fuel in a business to begin with. And that's how I even ended up in what I've discussed in my previous video about needing to reach a specific revenue goal to keep up with everything. Because being real, when it comes to an entrepreneurship and starting a business, you're not going to make money on day 1. You might not make money on day 2. You might not make money in day 30 or day 90. And it's really about building systems in place so that you can now culminate all the work that you're now putting together to get a system that will pay you for the time that you've put in the forefront of your business. Nonetheless, when you hit the reality that you aren't going to get a paycheck every 2 weeks, then your brain immediately goes into survival mode because it's not like your bills are going to stop or they're going to pay for itself. You have to make some difficult decisions. With all that being said, I realized that I wasn't just missing money. I was missing the permission to feel safe even when the money wasn't steadily coming in. And if you've seen any leadership video, whether that's Eric B. Gunderson, Myron Golden, Cody Sanchez, Afnan Khalifa, I'm sure you've heard everyone say that in the beginning it's going to be tough, it's going to be challenging, and you're going to go from putting in work, and then on the back end, once you have your system in place, get paid. But in order to do that, you have to have the right steps in place in order to be ready for what's to come when you are going to scale. And that's why I speak so much about having a strong purpose in everything that you're building and what you're doing, because you're going to need to have a different level of grit that you didn't necessarily have when you're working for somebody else's dream and somebody else's vision, where you're just part of their wheel that's in motion to get paid every other week through their budget. Well, if we are to step out of our comfort zone, it means applying and being ready as best we can to not feel like we need to go and run back to our comfort zone. The whole journey in business is to step out of that. That's the only way you're going to grow. Why am I even sitting here saying you need to let go of being addicted to a paycheck while also going out to seek a job? It's because I'm being realistic with where I'm at in my life right now. I did have a safety net. I blew through that. I worked another job, saved up, blew through that. I've taken out loans, blew through that. I've done and made so many mistakes to finally be able to speak on this, especially because my whole perspective on letting go of what it means to have a paycheck every other week came at a time where I had the least in my bank account. It was a different kind of peace and joy that I experienced because by that point, I already knew what I was building. I knew what I was capable of, and I knew that I had stepped fully into my purpose. And if it wasn't for that case, y'all probably would have seen me back on the road. I probably would have been back doing Uber and back doing a lot of the things to get tomorrow's money paid. But really, by the grace of God, I've been so fortunate that a lot of what I was building on the back end now is paying me at a later date in the times where I need it the most. It is unsettling to not really know when your next check is going to come, but this is really just the first stage of building out a business that will be fruitful for you to have longevity. Not only that, but it's really testing you to see if you have thick enough skin to even be in the game. After coming to this acceptance of, okay, I know I have something going for myself, I'm confident in what I am building, let's be realistic, I still need something to hold me over. So the difference between me seeking a job 5 years ago versus seeking a job now is that I'm not looking for a job to have an out. Rather, I'm looking for a job to now use that as seed capital to get to the next phase of where I want to go. Rather than needing this job because I'm fearful that my business won't work out or because I think I'm failing in my business, I now realize I've laid out the financial vision to understand what bandwidth I need to be able to fund the next portions of my business. I can now find a job that fits that mold alongside the skill sets to now trade those in to then invest back into my business. The addiction of having a paycheck comes from feeling like you now have limitations on how you can pursue your dreams because you have to put this job first. And that's not to say that when you're building a business, you're neglecting the work that you're doing, but it's learning how to find the balance between the two so that you can continue to put the extra steps in, have grit, and have grind, even though we don't want to hustle and grind throughout this space because we don't want to run this hamster wheel transitioning from a 9-to-5 job back into your own business. You're looking to scale, and in order to do that, you have to be realistic about the entirety of your business and what that looks like. Hopefully, if I do get this job, it's really going to be my runway to fund my business. I already have everything in place, so that was really the beautiful part about where I'm at as well. I don't have to be in the middle of working and saying, what do I want to do, even though that's another phase. But for the purpose of what I'm explaining to you now, it's I know what this business and what I'm going to be paid for in this sector is going to bring me so that I can take my actual business to the next level. This job is my seed capital. Keeping it so real, even though I am so against having a 9-to-5, I feel like I am quite literally allergic to them. But when it comes time to have to pay bills and at least get you or keep you afloat to even make it to that next level, I did feel a sigh of relief to even get a call back. Now, hopefully I do get this job and can utilize my plan to take what I am building to the next level. I knew that if I take this role, I can now walk into that space knowing my life's purpose and be driven by that. Really, when I say being addicted and having a 9-to-5 isn't the job itself. The danger really comes from letting the job define your worth. When you understand your purpose and can fully step into and move through your purpose, the job itself just becomes another tool in your toolkit. Rather than trading your soul, you're trading temporary time so that you can make more money in the long run. 3 things that I kept in mind going into even applying for work is understanding how to take the job without losing my business and without losing momentum. The first one is really setting strict boundaries, and that goes back into the financial plan that you have in place. I know how much money I need to make in order to keep my business afloat. And not just that, how much money I need to take my business to the next level. What do I need to invest? And that's what this money is for. The money that you get through your 9-to-5 is not to improve your lifestyle, even though we all want those things, but it's focusing on covering your basic necessities and then investing that money back into what you actually want to grow so you can step out and away from that 9-to-5 for good. And then 2, it was really about keeping my CEO hat on even when I'm working in this space. So the job that I applied for was a programs coordination position, which is something that I've always been strong at. It's something that I feel like I can do in my sleep. I've been doing programming, I've been doing workshopping, I've been doing budgeting, events, production for a long period of time now, almost 10 years. I would say about 8 years. And I know that even in that field, I'll be able to move quickly and efficiently and ensure that they're getting to the position that they need while also being able to use the time in between to grow what I need to do for my business. It's funny because before I even got the second phone call, I'm envisioning, okay, what is it going to look like if I do get this job? Okay, if I have to travel 30 minutes away for this position, is it beneficial for me to Uber? What's the expense that I have to trade off as a result of that? How much money can I make hourly in my business once it really takes off versus how much time I would spend in an Uber? If I have to spend 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back, and it's $40 to get there and $40 to get back, okay, is this worth $80 of my hour compared to how much I would be making? I know I can make at least anywhere at now $250 to $500. So really balancing out the two to say how much work can I get done in the meantime, between time, until I'm able to separate myself from having a constant paycheck. But the paycheck is really there to make sure that I could fund my goals for the business itself. And then of course, keeping that CEO hat on means that even when you're at work, you're thinking in the background of how you can improve your own systems. I went into not ChatGPT, because I ditched her. I'm gonna talk about that in a different video. I went into Gemini and said, okay, in a scenario where I do get this position, I do have to go in person for this. How can I still maximize my time here and ensure that I don't step away or lose momentum in my business? Funnily enough, I do plan on having my iPad laid out, having a privacy screen, so any chance that I get, I can go in and start making moves on the business, because at least right now I've created a system for everything that I'm building right now. So all I have to do is have oversight and be able to do the right type of documents and approve a lot of the paperwork. So that's really the stage of where I'm at right now. And I set a foundation for us to be able to do all of this online. So any chance that I get in my free time at work, I now get to build on my business and really not taking the foot off the gas in those moments. But scaling a dream always is going to come with the reality check, and being willing to step fully into that is going to be the next challenge for me in what it's going to take for me to get to that next level. This isn't for me to be stagnant. This isn't for me to say, oh, thank God I'm finally getting paid. No, this is, now that I'm getting paid, I can pour back into my business, which will eventually allow me to fulfill the lifestyle that I'm also looking for. But there are stages to this. We can't skip a step. We have to continue to take the right steps to get to that next step, to get to that next stage. I also know that the biggest boss move that I could make right now is getting on somebody else's W-2, because one, I can learn from another business and how they operate, the structures that they have in place, what's working, what's not, what I do differently, while also allowing me to not rush what I'm already building and not speak to people from a place of desperation. I've heard the term commission breath, and it couldn't be more real. People know when you're looking to do business because you need the money, and learning to step away from that is where your paycheck can come into great practice, because you know that you at least have some level of stability elsewhere, so that you don't feel pressure to feel like you have to close a deal that you're only doing because you need extra money. Desperate entrepreneurs make bad decisions, and secure entrepreneurs make strategic ones. So whether I get this job or not, I know that the addiction is broken, simply because I know that I've done the groundwork to ensure that the actions that I am taking in both my business and everyday life isn't for the sake of improving my lifestyle, for feeling like the amount of money in my bank account is what's going to define my worth, but rather what's in my head and what's in my heart, to know how I'm going to continue to move forward and see all those pieces line up into place. The paycheck no longer becomes the savior in my life, and it hasn't been for quite a while. It does, however, allow me to utilize it as a resource to cover my necessities and use whatever excess I have left to pour back into the actual vision and purpose that I set out to have in the world. So through this process, I want you to start asking yourself, are you holding on to a safety net to fund your dreams, or because you're afraid to jump? Let me know in the comments below, and let's get real serious with ourselves, because if we have these big dreams for ourselves, the only way we're gonna do it is if we start taking the right actions to put that in place. And again, not an easy road to take, but it's incredibly worth it. And it starts by remembering why we're set on this planet, to be able to move forward in our full purpose. I'll see you in the next video.